Fresh and Untitled. Yeah, so I suppose we're just going to try and wing it again then, well, with these questions that we have, and then wing it from there.
Well, like I said,
I feel probably not prepared again.
I know totally. He's done like 7 books in 4 years, so he's got like massive output.
Whoa! Jesus Christ, I can't get one done in 2 years.
Do you want to do the intro really quick?
Yeah.
All right. Should I let you handle this one since you're so prepared?
No, you know him best, so.
Okay, well, today we have Eric A. Shelman, author of the Dead Hunger series, which this is book 1, book 2, and book 3, and there are like 4 more after that. He also wrote Out of the Darkness, the Ellen Wilson story. It's a nonfiction book, and he will be talking to us today about a multitude of things, but most importantly, writer discipline and how to write 7 books in 3 minutes, because that's apparently what he can do.
Not with your foot on the exaggerator, anyway.
We're going to find out how to do that today, hopefully.
And then tomorrow we're going to do that.
I don't think it'll be too hard.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I will have my rough draft to you by Monday of the first 3 books.
Yeah, okay. I'll probably still be researching this time next year.
Hello, I hear people. What's going on?
Hi, are you there?
I am. I'm here. Hey, I didn't do a video. Let me do a video. Hold on, hang up and I'll answer with video. I am dressed, so we're good.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, I got the right mug for this damn show. Some herbal tea in there. Huh?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
mine
because I figured if you guys didn't show, I was going to narrate. But either way, I need some nice tea for my voice. What are you drinking? Beer over there?
Of course, she's Irish.
It's actually Budweiser in a Franciscan Well mug, which I didn't steal from a pub.
Okay, so the first question that we were going to ask you is one of the books that you wrote, first books, is Out of the Darkness, the story of Mary Ellen Wilson.
Right.
And it's nonfiction, correct?
Yes, correct.
Going from that, nonfiction, which you can't really stray from an outline. You can't be like, oh, I want the character to do this or that. You have to stick to the facts. Going to fiction and then a massive series like Dead Hunger had to be a pretty big jump. Was that easy, hard?
Well, it wasn't. Let me kind of explain. Out of the Darkness, I did want to be a fiction writer, and I was writing short stories, horror stories, but some of them were horrible, and I wasn't really getting published as a short story writer. Because I didn't know how to write. I just knew I wanted to write. I just didn't know how. So I didn't really know how to develop characters or any of that stuff. So by the time I got a first short story published and got $2 for it from some Night Owls newsletter in LaPorte, Texas. And it was cool, so I was excited because once I got that $2, I could write off all my expenses, right? So I did because I had income from it as a writer. So I did that. But then I thought it's time to write a book. And it's called the World's Biggest Bookstore. It's in Toronto. And I was there with, visiting family with my wife. And I was browsing around and I found this book by Amy and Irving Wallace and David Walachinsky called it was just a ton of curiosities, right? Strange stories, strange but true. So I thought, well, this would be cool. I'll find a little true story, and then I'll build on that true story and turn it into a weird fiction novel. So I thought that'd be great, because these are strange but true. So they're already strange, so I can use a tidbit of fact. Well, one of them was about some guy teaching an orangutan to operate the switching stations at a railroad. So all these little weird stories, right? But then on page, I think it was 15, I know it was 15, I found the story of little Mary Ellen. And they said that she was a severely abused child in 1874 New York, and she was rescued by the SPCA. And so I'm thinking, I've never heard of that. A little child rescued by Animal Protection, right, agency. So I got really excited about it because I thought, what a unique story, and it's a piece of history that nobody's written about. It was over 100 years old at that time. And she was the first child ever rescued from an abusive home and was rescued by the SPCA. So really, you can get animal people, you get, child people, so all these different, aspects of an audience for the book. So I decided to write it. But I didn't want to write it like a documentary account of, here's the documents, here's all that. I wanted to write it as the story because I kind of grew passionate about it right away. So I call it creative nonfiction because essentially some conversations, obviously happened in 1874, some conversations had to be created based on the fact that she obviously had neighbors. We knew her husband was in the Civil War fighting for the North. We knew he died in Cold Harbor, Virginia. So we knew all these things. We knew where, I researched where the soldiers at Cold Harbor would have picked up all their greenhorns, all their new recruits and stuff. And I knew that he was with the Fighting 69th Irish Brigade because he was an Irishman. So I knew all this information. So I put it all together as a story. That's why it's called The Story of Mary Ellen Wilson. It's not dry reading. It's not my best writing, I'll say, because it was my very first book. But at the same...
everybody's first book is their best.
Yeah. So anyway, I put it together and I wrote it. But it was a complete sidestep to what I wanted to be doing. I wanted, I was a Dean Koontz, Stephen King, I read, F. Paul Wilson, Whitley Strieber, all these guys, or Strieber, however the hell he pronounces it. But I had all these authors I wanted to emulate or, do the kind of stuff they did. But that sidestep sent me off. Man, I was on book TV. I was speaking at the Museum of the City of New York about this thing. I ended up getting the ASPCA and the NYSPCC together again after over 100 years. These guys had been in opposition. One of them had the scissors that Mary Ellen was cut with the day she was rescued. The other one had her dress, right? So all these little memorabilia from her rescue were in two separate agencies, and they weren't talking. Well, I lied to both of them, and I said, hey, those guys really want to get together with you at the museum and display, both the dress and the scissors. And then I told the other agency the same thing. So next thing you know, they started talking, and both the dress and the scissors were reunited for the first time in 100+ years. So it was really, really cool. And Book TV was there, and I messed up. I'm standing there, and at one point, this is death for an author. I'm standing up in front, and the Book TV's on me, right? You can watch it. You can find it online. Book TV, Eric Shelman, I'm there. At one point, I go, I'm losing it here. I actually said I'm losing it here. And that's when my co-author, Stephen Lazarus, goes, Eric, I think maybe I should step up there. I recovered, but that line should never have been uttered. Anyway, so what I'm saying is writing a fiction story, the only difference is I knew the beginning, the middle, and the end of the Mary Ellen story. I still had to create a lot. So because, again, who knew? I did get the court transcripts, and we were the only people in history to get the court transcripts besides the family. Well, actually, the family didn't even have them, but they authorized it because we knew Mary Ellen's great-granddaughter before she died. And she signed an authorization, so we were able to get those. But nobody else had ever gotten them in history. So we were the first. So that's why there's still only one book about Mary Ellen. There's been an option for a film, too. So, and it's really literally underway. It's underway in Hollywood.
So I guess what I'm getting here is that we're talking to you about writer discipline. And what I'm getting is that you had fuck all discipline in that, like, you wanted to, like, write Dean Koontz, King, all that stuff.
Shit discipline is exactly what I had.
Basically, we scrubbed this interview because it's not discipline at all.
And boy, when I wrote that first book, I was so paranoid because I ended up self-publishing it. And that was in the days when, mid-90s, when self-publishing wasn't, there was no Kindle and there was no, I printed 5,000 books and had them shipped to my house. And then I hired, I don't know who I figured, Lightning Source maybe. But they printed 5,000 books shipped to my house, and I mailed every single one of those books out. I created a false person named A.R. Lewis as my editor with Dolphin Moon Publishing, which I created then. So I made up all these people. So when people ordered books online, it's, okay, thank you, A.R. Lewis. I'll get this to Mr. Shelman. He'll get them signed for you, bang, bang. So I was lying like a sack of shit. But I did it because I didn't want to lose credibility as a self-published author back in the time. We'd already been ripped off by a Canadian, basically a vanity press. So we didn't realize they were a vanity press, but we had to pay them, right? So they're a vanity press, obviously. We were kind of naive. We didn't know it. And so we got ripped off. So we were really hesitant to do anything like that again. We got the rights back, which was cool. And then at that point, I cut the book by about 100 pages, which is hard for me. And I love all my pages and all my words. So I cut it by about 100 pages and finally released it. And I was I was the keynote speaker at the Kansas State CASA conference. I mean, hello. What do I know about it? All I did was write this book about this little girl. But it was very cool and it went off great. So I would say now Out of the Darkness doesn't help me at all, because what I want to focus on is horror, and thrillers, essentially. I'd say more like thrillers, action.
Well, if Out of Darkness is a successful movie, I'm pretty sure that will help you out quite a bit.
What are you going to do? Complain about it? You just keep writing, and hopefully someday you'll be it, right? Okay.
All right, so my next question is, how do you balance? Because I know that you do narrating, I know that you sing, I know that you have a job during the day, I know that you write. How do you manage to balance everything, including promotion and all your other hobbies, and still maintain a life? Like, how do you do that?
That's a good question.
You don't
I haven't sang a lot of songs lately because look, essentially I'm a karaoke guy, right? But I have music and look, I don't have a band, so how else am I going to sing songs? So I get the best version of the karaoke music I can find, and then I sing the song. And a lot of times it's by request and stuff, but I fit that in because I love it. I just accepted an 11-book series, a witch series by Dana Donovan. The Witch's Ladder, Eye of the Witch, all these different witch novels. So I'm going to start with one and go through all 11 of them if he doesn't fire me in the middle. So now I've got that. I'm also narrating Mike Evans' Orphans 4. What's going to suffer? My Scabs 2, because I'm trying to write Scabs 2. In fact, I moved recently to a new home. So I wrote the first third of Scabs 2 before I moved. And you know what happens when you move. I mean, everything's up in turmoil. You can't sit around and write while your wife's packing boxes. So there was none of that. So it was literally, it's been months since I've actually written. But I did go back through. I think I could just unplug these, right, and listen to you on the speakers. But again, my first third, because I wrote a third of it. So I had to go through and do all my markups so I can maybe get to the point where I can, and yeah, there's a lot too, right? You get all that stuff, all the lines. I'm like, have them all sit around and hash out what they saw during the ceremony. Okay, yeah, that's called filler. What I'm going to try to do, in order to finish Scabs 2, is I'm going to try writing one night and narrating the next, writing. I'm just going to have to alternate back and forth.
I think for the Dead Hunger series, you had to have massive discipline. I mean, you put out 7 books in about 5 years.
9.
9?
Yeah.
Is there 9 books in the series?
9 books, yeah.
Okay, there's 2.
5 years.
Yeah, I terminated the series though with book 9. It's done. The apocalypse is done. So it was kind of cool to be able to do that. I mean, how many people get to do that, right?
I know.
So yeah, the discipline. Look, I write 2 hours a night. That's it. If I'm lucky.
Every night.
Well, actually, only about three to. Okay, I write on the weekends, and I can go over the 2 hours on the weekends. But when I get home from work, I work all day as an insurance adjuster, and I hate myself even. No, I'm not kidding. But I work all day as an insurance adjuster. Then I come home from 5 to 6. I eat dinner with my wife, and then from 6 to 8, I write. I write Monday. I write Tuesday. I write Wednesday. Thursday, I go karaoke. Friday, I give it to Linda. Let me put that differently. Friday, give it to Linda. I give her Friday night. It's kind of our night together. And then Saturday morning, I get up and I write. And I can usually write until about noon. And then Sunday, I write until about noon. We'll go to a movie or something. And then it starts all over on Monday. So I only write 5 days a week, with the Thursday and Friday off. And that's just because I like to go out and do stuff and sing. And
2 hours a night and you got 9 books in 2 years. What am I doing wrong?
No, I actually wrote more than that because I wrote Shifting Fears and I wrote The Camera and I wrote Scabs. So I've actually got 16 books out now. And they're not short.
They're only about 15 pages long, aren't they? Really, that's
no. Actually, they run from 330 to 450.
you wanted to try and do a giveaway?
I have got something very cool. Basically what these are.
I've seen those. Yes, the signed pages.
These are the proof pages from the very last Dead Hunger book. So that's it. There's no more. And what I do is after I'm done writing it, obviously, I print out the pages and I sit there and I read them and I mark them up and I make changes. And then all these changes are incorporated into the book. So anything you see on one of these pages, if you actually find that passage in the book, you'll see that I've changed it to what I hand wrote in.
They just need to look you up on Facebook, author Eric A. Shelman?
Yes, author, yes. You'll find me there. Author Shelman. I think Facebook/author Shelman.
And if they follow our YouTube channel, subscribe to our channel, and they PM you to let you know. First 5 people to do that.
Do it. Boom!
First 5 get that page.
That's right. He's got a lot to say, doesn't he?